On today's show, the San Antonio Spurs with a stacked cast of characters heading into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Gregg Popovich, Tony Parker, Becky Hammon, Pau Gasol. A huge night for the San Antonio Spurs organization. We'll relive the best moments from their induction speeches, as well as the greatest moments throughout their respective careers. It's all coming up right here at Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is about to kick off, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long, because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you get bonus bets every single time they win in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every single victory. Right now, we can take a look at the odds to win Super Bowl 58. The Kansas City Chiefs, the favorites, at plus 600. Philadelphia Eagles right behind them at plus 800. Then rounding out the top five favorites, you got the Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals, and San Francisco 49ers all at plus 1,000 a piece. You can use your bonus bets on anything from spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Joining us now is the host of Locked On Spurs, Jeff Garcia, who you can track down wherever you listen to your podcasts and on YouTube. Just search Locked On Spurs. Fresh from Springfield, Massachusetts. He was in person. He was at the stacked 2023 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So many legends, so many basketball icons in attendance. And Jeff, this was an absolutely stacked class for the San Antonio Spurs.
It was.
Gregg Popovich, Becky Hammon, Tony Parker, Pau Gasol, he's going in as a Laker, but he did his time in a Spurs jersey. You were there in person. You got to experience this. Walk us through what the atmosphere was like there.
Yeah, this is actually my second time in person for a Hall of Fame induction. And let me tell you, it is an experience I recommend all NBA, just basketball fans, to experience once in their life. Basically, not one, two red carpets this year, because it was that stacked, from Pat Riley making an appearance because of Dwayne Wade, to Carmelo Anthony showing up, Allen Iverson showing up, Will Hardy for the Jazz, obviously, the Spurs connection there, Avery Johnson. The list goes on and on. There were so many stars, NBA current and ex players in the house. It is an experience, and There were drones flying everywhere. I thought I was in the Star Wars city, Coruscant for a minute. There's drones flying everywhere. That's how stars.
Got to get those aerial shots, man.
There was one flying above me all the time. I said, this little guy following me? I mean, you forgot about Becky Hammon too. And let me tell you, there were Spurs fans in Becky Hammon's old San Antonio Stars jersey. I mean, they threw the throwback for this event. It was a great night. I just finished recording a Locked On Spurs. By the time I listen to this show, maybe it's out by now, but we debated that this is the best Spurs-centric class of all time. We said it is number one, with a close second being number two, Tim Duncan's. And that was him and Kobe going in. So that's pretty stacked there. But it is a very formal event. You can't be going looking like this, that's for sure. There's no way. They ain't letting you in. But it's just an experience just to go through that, because you're seeing the raw emotions of these coaches and the players really pour their heart out. I knew Popovich had a family. I just never seen what his daughter looks like until this past weekend. I know he had grandchildren. I didn't know what they look like until this past week. So you get a glimpse into their personal life. Parker as well, shouting out his own kids. Dwayne Wade doing the exact same thing, having them all stand up. So you get a good glimpse into just what these legends are like off the court, and when they're not wearing the uniform. Obviously, they're not anymore, but when they were wearing uniform, when they're not. Here's the thing too: just how much support each and every inductee gets. That wasn't just the Spurs, because sure, their families there, and former Spurs. Sean Elliott was there. Ime Udoka was there in the building. But then you see the fans. I mean, the fans trekked thousands of miles. I spoke to several Spurs fans at the event. A few of them said they drove thousands of miles from San Antonio to Springfield, Mass, just to see this class.
Wow.
He had some so I spoke to one Spurs fan. He told me they took a drive from San Antonio to Austin, then Austin, a flight to New York, then from New York to a 2.5-hour drive to Springfield, Mass. A lot of Spurs fans were not going to let this moment pass them by. And as much as there was a strong Spurs fan base presence, got to tell you, the Mavs fans, they showed out. I dare I say they actually showed out more than the Spurs fans that night. I mean, there was a big contingency of Mavs fans. Dirk Nowitzki, everywhere he went, he was getting cheers left and right. This year, what they did is in the second set of red carpets, so the main one that led into the hall, they let fans go up to a railing, and which was great because fans got to chat with them as if like they were the media too. So they got to stop and talk, take selfies with them, everything. Very, very nice of the Hall of Fame too to allow media to get on a red carpet, like literally stand on it and grab whoever you can to talk. From John Calipari was there. You have to, your head has to be in a swivel, especially Jackson. If you're looking for anything for your team, Rockets, you're like this. Okay, here's our locked on Heat guy, our guy David Ramel. He was in the house too. It got to the point where he was telling me, Jeff, Avery's over there. Go. Jeff, over there. It's so-and-so. I mean, you have to be like this, like just trying to grab whoever you can grab. Very nice. One of the few times where, they're pretty happy to talk to media. You know how that is, Jackson. But all in all, one word that stood out for me from the Spurs speeches collectively is relationships. You heard that from Popovich talking about his relationship with his former coaches, his teammates, and then off the court with his family. Becky Hammon, same thing. She shouted out her grandma, who was in the house, to her brothers and sisters, to her current players, saying, y'all are my girls, building relationships. Will Hardy, head coach of the Utah Jazz and former Spurs, told me that's the one lesson that he took from his time, is building relationships with his players. So you felt that a lot. In my opinion, I think Tony Parker's speech stole the night of the four set of Spurs. I think he knocked it out of the park. I didn't know he had a comedic side to him. I didn't know that. I know he had a little silly side, but I didn't know he had a little comedy streak going on, pretty much calling out Bruce Bowen for whining about never getting the ball from Tony, to wondering if Tim Duncan has a thing against French players. It was just great to see. And then, calling out Popovich for always cussing at him. Interesting though, as much as I thought his was the funniest and kind of the quirkiest and the best one, different, I did like how he ended it. He kind of took a shot at his naysayers, saying, "Who has the last laugh now?" And I think that's kind of like where he ended it.
Nice little drop the mic moment from TP.
Yeah. I did like that too, and I also like that Pop patted himself on the back, literally and figuratively. Said like, "Hey, had a lot to do with this, and I mean, obviously, he shifted the whole speech to the four guys that presented him: Robinson, Duncan, Parker, and Manu.
But his duh moment was iconic. It was so good.
It was, yeah. And from the auditorium, the speakers sounded like he said DONE, not DUH.
Oh, so, there it is. That might be why there was the miscommunication where he says done and then the speakers, the way they reverberated, it sounded like he said done, and but he said duh. Like the reason why he's there because of these four guys, legends of the Spurs uniforms. So that was definitely a fun moment. You picked the funny moment, and for me, I'm a sucker for anything sentimental. The emotions, they just get to me, and seeing the way Pop, he's such a stoic figure. Obviously, he can be, he can be a little loose and funny at times, but you just think of him in with such high regard, and that nothing ever, he can't ever crack the exterior, right? Yeah. And seeing Becky when she delivered her speech, and then she had the message for Pop specifically, I wanted to run it back really quick because I thought it was the most powerful message of the entire night that I wanted to share with our audience.
This one is for my father.
You're a man of principle and excellence. I know you weren't trying to be courageous when you hired me, but you did do something nobody else in professional sports has ever done. You expect excellence, and model how to become excellent in your everyday routine and how you go about your work. You spoke courage into me with a phone call as I was getting ready to coach that first summer league team in 2015. You said, just be you, you're gonna be great. And you've texted me that. I don't even know if you know how many times you've actually texted me that. Just be you, just be you, just be you. And you've changed the trajectory of my life and of so many other girls and young women. Thank you. I love you.
I think it was such a powerful message.
Yeah, but I also like how she set it up. If you were to wind that before that, she goes, I don't want to look at you, Pop.
Yeah.
Like she knew it was coming. She knew the waterworks were probably going to come. Popovich also blew her a kiss, to thank her, for shouting out and congratulate her. I'm pretty sure he looks at her as like a kind of a daughter, that is spreading her wings now. So all in all, it was good. I did. For me as a Spurs fan, what it really sent home for me, and I think it's like 1B to my 1A, is that was it. That was the closing of the big three, the Spurs dynasty era. It's over. It's done. It's over. It's now it's out of a bookshelf in Spurs vault, from when it started in 99, when Duncan came aboard till he retired, and then when Tony and Manu called it quits. And now Pop is in. Yeah, that is the most poetic way to close that chapter in Spurs history. And it's done. It's over. Those were the good times. Now time to forge a new one with Wemby, Keldon, and Devin. We'll see if they can duplicate that. That's a hard, high standard to follow now. I mean, can you imagine, Jackson, if you're an incoming Spur player and knowing that is the legacy of the team? Whew. Those are some big shoes to fill.
An absolute legacy of greatness in the wake of these players as they've been inducted into the Hall of Fame. For a deeper reflection on what the Hall of Fame experience was like, what it means to the San Antonio Spurs organization, you'll have us covered for all of that and more over at Locked On Spurs. Jeff, I appreciate you stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Yes, sir.